With the right quarterback, there are several teams that could win the national title next year, including Sam Leavitt. But which programs? I'm going to tell you which ones need to spend maybe $4 million right here on the Portal Podcast.
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Into the Portal Podcast, where you get your daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal scoop. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day right here on the nation's #1 podcasting network, Locked On. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. We're going to be talking about a quick boom with the 2027 recruiting class a little bit later in the show. Several top players have already made a pledge. Kind of go back through the last week or two, rehash a little bit, like who committed, why, Prue Jones, and several other key guys that are national top 50 players, maybe a few that end up being 5 stars. We're going to talk about that later on here on the Portal Podcast live show. But we're going to start off with one overarching theme that will transcend the entire transfer portal. The player that may command more attention and more dollar bills than anybody else. Sam Leavitt, quarterback, Arizona State Sun Devils, is expected to get in the portal per several reports. So unless there is a change of heart, he will most likely set the market. I talked about Colton Joseph yesterday, and I thought he might be a guy that did that. This young man right here could change a lot of different rosters. So what is Sam Leavitt's best attribute? Why is he so important? What could he do at several different schools? We're going to dive into all that, but here's the #1 focus you need to think about: winning. There are several teams that are on that cusp that want to make the playoff, that want to finish the roster, or they're in the playoff this year, but they're going to lose their quarterback, that if they want to go back and they don't want to go through the developmental stage, they're going to have to spend big in the portal. You can bet Sam Leavitt is going to get phone calls. Here are the schools that I think that will kick around the tires at minimum for Leavitt. This is just top of my head. Texas Tech, they're going to lose their quarterback. LSU is definitely in a circumstance where their quarterback situation is up in the air. If they do not get another year of eligibility for Trinidad Chambliss, I expect him to transfer to LSU. If he does, to play with Lane Kiffin in the Bayou Bengals, that's a program that would be really good fit for Leavitt. He's a runner, he's a passer. He would fit that scheme well. Miami, they're going to lose Carson Beck. They spent allegedly $4 million on Carson Beck last year. Absolutely a team that I could see doing it. How about one of the schools like Penn State? Is it out of the question? No, it's not. I don't think that's the path they will go, but would it shock me? Absolutely not. Tennessee, does Joey Aguilar come back to the Vols? Are we 100% certain about that? They've spent big before, and no offense to Aguilar, he's not as good as Leavitt. Again, I'll go through the stats in a moment. And then there's Florida State, a team that has some NIL dollars, and just like I said on yesterday's show, their administration has alleged they're going to help Mike Norvell build a championship level program. I don't buy that. But if you're going to prove it, there probably will be some overtures between the two parties. I'm not saying they should. I think they should personally go with Kevin Sperry. I also run the Locked On Seminoles podcast. I think they should go with the new guys, the younger players, grow for a year, and then go from there in 2027. But Florida State's trying to keep Norvell afloat because they don't want to spend the money on the buyout. If they went with Leavitt, would they spend $4 million for a quarterback? He does technically have 2 years of eligibility, so you could look at it from that perspective, but most think he will turn pro after next season. So it could be a 1-year rental. And then there are a few other schools to kind of think about as well. Who else might? Is there anybody else that you can think of that would be in that boat? Oh, by the way, he's from West Glen, Oregon. If Dante Moore has a really good playoff run and decides to turn pro, the Oregon Ducks would be an interesting one. I'm not saying Dante will turn pro or won't. I have no idea. It depends on how the end of this season goes. What about them? And sticking in the Big Ten, but the more traditional version, Fernando Mendoza, the guy that helped the Indiana Hoosiers go to Austin Stadium and beat the Oregon Ducks, he's probably gone. He's maybe the first pick in the draft. Indiana, I'm an Indiana grad. I can tell you, they've got some deep pockets. After what Mendoza did, don't you think that there's a chance Sam Leavitt would absolutely take that phone call? Sure, he would. Those are just some of the schools. And to that end, let's talk about his stats in 2024. I'll explain the 25 situation momentarily. But last year, when they made their run to the playoff, for those of you that are listening to this later on, I'll read these. But if you're watching on YouTube, 2024 stats 216 of 315, 61.7%, 2,885 yards, 24 scores, 6 picks. So a 4-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Obviously, had the beast in the backfield. They had some other good running backs too. But he was really smart in how he didn't get greedy. He had Jordan Tyson at receiver, who's an NFL guy himself, came back this year, but they didn't force the ball in the air. They ran it. He would audible to the running backs. He was a guy that ran when he needed to. He's even been more mobile this year. We'll get into that as well for a guy like Kiffin, etc. But the most important thing with him is between the ears. Arizona State is not as physically gifted as Texas, although they made a run and almost won that game. Arizona State is not as talented as some of the other teams in the Big 12, and last year they represented the league in the playoff. Levit is a big reason why, and I'm not taking anything away from Arizona State's coaching staff. They are very, very good. But the reason they went on that run last year started at quarterback as much as anything else, because you've got to get everybody in the right play. That's why quarterback is the most expensive position in sport. That's why quarterback is the most difficult to figure out. It's the hardest to project. But once a guy does hit, that's why ESPN and Fox and ABC and every other sports network there is, they run quarterback news on loop because people are gravitating to it. It's not going to change. Levitt's that guy. When he goes to the draft, he'll be on loop for that as well. So who are some of the teams that I think would be willing and would be the best fits? I mentioned the teams here a minute ago that I thought would be good to at least look at him. I'm going to give my top 3 picks on the schools that I think he should look at, assuming, again, that they're really going to go all in on a transfer portal quarterback. And I think a lot of people could make arguments for others too. But here are my 3. We're going to talk about that next here on the Portal Podcast. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. The World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994. And with 48 teams for the first time ever, it's going to be massive. But let's be honest, getting tickets to this event is usually the hardest part. That's why the Game Time app is clutch, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Game Time, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets in the moment they hit the app. It puts everything back in your hands, the easy way to get it done right on your phone. And it makes getting to the World Cup realistic at the end of the day instead of impossible. So you can get notifications sent to your phone. Just set it up how you want, what games you're interested in, and you can find that real quick because it'll come right to your phone as a notification. So you can get that alert, go right to the app, and get the purchase and be done. And here's the best part. You can see your seat right from your phone. I bought tickets recently, just went to a game with Game Time a couple of days ago. I saw the seats, and I saw the floor from where those seats would be right on my phone before I ever went to the arena. Take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets or anything else with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Game Time. All right, let's talk a little bit about what's up next here with this podcast. I appreciate everybody stopping in. Thank you very much for making the Portal Podcast a part of your day each and every day. If you have not already, become an everydayer. And to that end, we have an everydayer club now. It's in the description below for the link. You can get this downloaded with no ads. It's like $5 a month. Just check it out. And down in the description, whether you're in Apple, Spotify, you're on YouTube, whatever it is, $5 a month. It's pretty cheap. So thank you once again for everybody coming in and asking questions. I'll hit some of those as I go through this. But I have 3 schools that I want to talk about. Look, that I think would be really good fits with him and kind of going through it. I want you to think about, I want people to ask in the comments, if you listen to this later, YouTube, whatever it is, and if you're in the chat, give me your 3 schools. Which ones do you think Sam should look at if he's going to enter the portal? X-Wing 8675. With the right quarterback, Wisconsin might not be dead last in offense. I'm guessing this kid wouldn't take $10 million to come up here, but that's the best fit for us. Wisconsin needs a couple of quarterbacks. I don't know where Sam would go, and I don't know what Wisconsin would offer, but any team that needs a new quarterback, it's a possibility. Well, why would Wisconsin not at least make an overture? You have nothing to lose. Don't be down on the fact that you guys are bad at offense. If Sam can bring somebody with him, and by the way, any team that gets Levit probably going to have a pretty easy time getting quarterbacks. Why not? Mr. Mad Skills 407, Miami. Miami is one of the top 3. That's one of the 3 schools I'm going to mention. There are 2 others. LSU is definitely one of those. And there's another one that's ironic. I just, again, I don't know how this is going to play out, but the team that fascinates me maybe the most is Tennessee if Aguilar is not back there. I don't know the circumstance. Some people say yes, no. Any offense that just constantly throws bombs, which Tennessee does, I'm fascinated with the option of Levitt having that. He threw a lot to Jordan Tyson when he was at Arizona State. Really good player, NFL guy. But if you've got 2, 3 guys that at least have a chance to go to the NFL Combine as tight ends, receivers, running backs, what do you think Sam would do there? And let's be honest, Heupel and that staff have done a tremendous job. Auburn would be another one that's interesting, but they're expected to get Byron Brown. It's basically the same offense. Byron was the quarterback for USF, and of course, Alex Golish is going to bring his guy to Auburn. That's expected at some point. Any offense that throws up top, you could throw into this mix. But again, LSU, that's self-explanatory. Kiffin's very good with quarterbacks. We do not know for sure what's going to happen with Trinidad Chambliss. It's expected that he's going to appeal. He's going to get a chance maybe to get another year of eligibility. He spent 3 years at Ferris State, which is a school in the state of Michigan. It's D2. And then he spent the 1 year this year at Ole Miss. If he gets to come back, I expect him to go to LSU. If he doesn't, though, they got to find a quarterback. And Sam can run. So here's the thing. I went and watched film of Sam. And this is like, let's just compare like Mr. Mad Skills. I've got this still up on the screen as, hey, Miami. Yeah, I could see it. Put an asterisk by that. Put that to the side for a second. If you're Levitt, this is the question, and this is up to him. It's totally subjective. Do you want to go to an offense where you're going to run quite a bit, or at least be asked to run 6 to 8 times a game? Or B, would you rather go to Miami, which like Carson Beck is a decent athlete, but he's not Sam. Like Sam could really run. And avoid hits? You could argue that if you're trying to make this your contract year, that's a phrase that's used a lot by young players, and go to the NFL after this next season, Miami's the best fit. They don't ask their quarterback to run much. Throwing to Malachi Toney would be a lot of fun too, I would assume. Just saying. Any team that has a chance to make the playoff that doesn't run their quarterback a lot, and this guy just wants to play 1 more year, that would be a fit. Ohio State and Notre Dame both have quarterbacks coming back with that kind of offense. Illinois is losing their quarterback. I don't think he's going to go to Illinois, but that would be one. Altmaier didn't run a ton. Teams in that vein, it would be perfect. Miami's doing that, and they've got a lot of skill talent. In my opinion, right now, the leader in the clubhouse would be the Canes. LSU is the wild card because of Chambliss. And again, I have no idea whether Sam is cool with joining a team that he's going to run a lot. He ran quite a bit this past season at Arizona State. Matter of fact, let me see what he did this year. Rushing 70. This is in 7 games because he got injured. 73 attempts, 300 yards, 4.1 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns. And remember, at the college level, this is so dumb. The NFL does it correctly. College does not. When you are sacked, it comes off your rushing total instead of like the overall team passing numbers. So I don't know what his total would be, but it'd be closer to 5 yards a carry. He's pretty nimble. He's over 200 pounds, and he's got some pretty good speed. Is he going to go run for 1,200 yards next year in the Southeastern Conference at LSU? No, he's not Jane Daniels. But could he get 450 yards rushing and help them get to the playoff? 100%. Does he want to go that route, though? I don't know. Now for the big part about the money, and then we'll get into the 2027 recruiting class and the commitments. Look, minimum here, I expect $4 million for a year. That's where I'm at. If Oregon gets in the mix, Miami gets in the mix, LSU gets in the mix, those would be the first three. Texas Tech could be as well. They'll at least make a phone call. Again, Ohio State's got a quarterback. Notre Dame's got a quarterback. Michigan's got some of the big hitters have QBs coming back. Florida State could, possible. What about DJ Wagway? If he leaves, and I've heard he's going to leave Florida, Sam Leavitt at Florida, absolutely a possibility. There's a lot of wild cards. We need to see who all is leaving for sure to get the full totality if the teams are going to be involved. But right here, $4 million. I think that will be the minimum, depending on how his contract is structured for 1 year for Sam. Now, if he decides to play 2 years, and he does have 2 years of eligibility because he enrolled at Michigan State, 2023, redshirted, played last year and this year. So he's got 2 more years of eligibility. If he goes for a 2-year deal, how they structure it, there's a lot of different ways they can make it happen. But year one, give or take $4 million, maybe some bonuses up to 450. That's pretty much where I'm at. So again, the big question for me, does he want to run? Or does Sam look at this as an opportunity? You know what? I'm just going to go somewhere like Miami. That's my pick, because play with a lot of good players. Obviously, kind of nice having Malachi Tony. They've got a great running back room. They might have the best running back room in the country in 2026. It is at least in the conversation. Offensive line is losing several good players, but they've recruited it well. They'll get a portal guy. They've got, in my opinion, the best recruit in the country coming in to play on the offensive line at Miami, yada, yada, yada. They'll be fine. Miami should be a top 10 team next year. If you take the quarterback out of it, just look at all the other positions. Miami's a top 10 team. If you get Sam, is Miami a top 5 team next year? Probably. I would rank them top 5 if Sam came. That's just my opinion. We'll see what happens, but that's where I stand. If anybody else has any comments or questions, again, whether you listen to this live, later, whatever it may be, let me know your thoughts. But there are a lot of landing places for him, but I expect $4 million to kind of be the bare minimum. And that's what Carson Beck got this last year for the Canes too. Miami, Everett, you do a great job, and it's a developed Luke and Darion Coleman. I don't know what they'll do with this. This is a great point. Look, man, I know both the quarterbacks that Miami, like you're talking about here. Luke's a great guy, and Coleman's a great guy. But one's going to be a redshirt freshman, and Coleman's going to be a true freshman. Mario is as old school as it gets. There is 0% chance, in my opinion, either one of those guys are starting next year, barring injury. Either it's going to be Emory Williams or a transfer. That's my opinion. Prove me wrong. If one of them pass Emory, like in spring, so be it. But it'll be a transfer or one of those guys maybe down the road. If the person they transfer in gets hurt or is a bust for any reason, it's a possibility. But I expect Miami to go the transfer route one more year. Then the year after, they shouldn't really need to. Either Luke is the guy or Darion's the guy in 2027. That'll be a really interesting battle in the spring of 2027 for the Miami Hurricanes. What else we got here? Mr. Mad Skills. They're not ready yet. Correct, Brian. Yeah, look, quarterback is freaking hard. It's not about your arm talent, your intelligence. Like Darion's one of the smartest kids ever been around, but he's going to be a true freshman. Asking him to run a pro-style scheme, that's not fair from day one. Now, maybe by the end of the season, it's possible. It's not out of the question. His brain's a little different. Maybe it's Luke this next year. I don't know, but that's still a lot. And you're probably not going to, for lack of a better phrase, place that pressure from day one on the new guy. That's my guess. And again, Mario is super old school, just the way it is. Miami Everett. Cool beans, but I know you have spoken high about Coleman's future. Oh, Coleman's, look, let me be very clear. Darion Coleman is a dude. His arm talent and talking to him like off the record, understanding scheme and stuff, like he'll bring that stuff up to me on the sideline at a 7-on-7. He enjoys that stuff. Either you're into it or you're not. Understand reading levels, short to long, long to short, all that stuff. Everybody has their own ideas. He'll hit the check downs, take the 4 yards where other guys are trying to bomb it into double coverage. And he's got the arm to fit it in there. Brady Quinn recently said on a show, like, as you get older, you realize you need to read short to long more because you just keep the drives going. Young guys don't want to do that. Coleman's already figured that out, and he's in high school. That's a rare deal. This is a good question. Charlie Schneider, 715, Clemson. That's an interesting one. Let's just ask this right now. Does Clemson get in on this mix at some point? It doesn't have to be Sam, but would they take a transfer portal quarterback? I have no idea. They haven't been in that boat to date, and they've got some good young talent. The quarterback they just signed, I like a lot, a kid out of Arizona. But can Clemson at least go get a couple of players this offseason? They need to. It doesn't have to, again, it doesn't have to be Sam Leavitt. It doesn't have to be the kid from Old Dominion or any other quarterback. They need a few studs to come in. Running back, they got to get somebody in the portal. Maybe somebody on the defensive line. They're losing a couple of NFL guys probably this year. They need to figure it out. If Clemson doesn't spend some money this year in the portal and add 5 to 8 guys that, can really help, that's a mistake. What will Clemson do? They're going to have to spend some cash and go outside their realm and be a little more uncomfortable. Is that something Clemson is going to be able to do? Is Dabo going to allow himself to adapt? Well, that's a key word now. Today's world, if you don't adapt, you die. Or are they just going to go the way of the dinosaur and they're going to be 7-5 and just a team that can make a bowl game? What's it going to be? They need to adapt. You don't have to take a ton of guys in the portal if you're Clemson. You don't. But if you take just a few, you can be pretty good. I think Clemson's a very interesting study this offseason, and maybe the most interesting. But to be clear, Sam Leavitt would change. Like if he went to Clemson next year, could they make the playoff? 100%. He would get a few other kids to come with him. Guys want to play with NFL quarterbacks. So if it's Miami, if it's LSU, if it's Clemson, if it's Tennessee, if it's Texas Tech, if Dante leaves Oregon after this year, if it's Oregon, you're going to not only get the quarterback, you're probably going to get other guys to come with him because they know Sam can play. You got to think about the totality of bringing in that quarterback. And while $4 million sounds like a lot, what are you going to get for your return? To be honest, I think it's a drop in the bucket. Just my opinion. When we come back, we're going to talk about the latest commitments. There has been a lot of 2027 action. And to be honest with you, it's kind of fun because I didn't see this coming. Maybe you did, but I certainly didn't. That is next here on the Portal Podcast. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Omaha Steaks. The holidays come with two big goals: feeding people well and finding gifts they'll actually love. And when you want both to get done and one to get handled very well, Omaha Steaks is the way to go. From hosting to gifting, they deliver the world's best steak experience right to your door, because during the Sizzle All the Way sale, you can stock up and save big in a huge way, 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. And it gets even better. Locked On College listeners can get an extra $35 off with code COLLEGE at checkout. So if you've got that buddy who's just a pain to buy for, maybe it's your grandfather, maybe it's your dad, whatever, how many of them don't like any of the following? Desserts, side items, steaks, burgers, come on. And you can get it delivered not only to their door, you can also treat yourself as well. Absolutely. You could put in your own address and have a little treat for yourself with Omaha Steaks. Save big on gourmet gifts and more holiday favorites with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com, 50% off site-wide during the Sizzle All the Way sale. And for an extra $35, taken off the tab, use promo code COLLEGE at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. That's omahasteaks.com and use code COLLEGE. All right. Once again, I appreciate everybody for stopping in. Thank you very much for making the Portal Podcast a part of your day and making this very, very fun for me each and every day. I really enjoy this. These podcasts, this is something I've always wanted to do, and this is a dream of mine, so thank you for helping me get that done. Fred Wright says, 9755. Fred Wright, 9755 says, come on down to LSU. Not going to lie. If Sam ends up at LSU, that would be fascinating. Kiffin is a really good coach, and he knows how to work with quarterbacks. That would be a lot of fun, no doubt about it. Let's talk a little 2027 commitment list and some of the guys. This is just over the last 2.5 weeks or so. Brody McNeil, really good offensive tackle out of the state of Virginia. I wonder if Virginia Tech's going to make a run at this kid too. 6'5", 285 at Godwin High School in Richmond, Virginia, committed to the Buckeyes. Mikal Davis, Desert Edge, one of the best corners in the country for the class of 2027. That kid's committed to Oklahoma. They know what they're doing. He's only ranked a 3-star in 24/7. I'm going to go with what Oklahoma's doing. They understand defense. If they went after him, I'm going to guess he's one of the better players in the country. Oklahoma gets the kid out of the state of Arizona. Wyatt Frey, Tight end going to Northwestern out of Lawrence Nelson High School in Nelson, Nebraska. Northwestern picking up a player out of the Cornhusker State, 6'5", 220. Utah, Kingston Parks out of Oak Ridge School in Arlington, Texas. Wide receiver, 6'2", 180 pounds. The Utes going down to the Lone Star State. Texas Tech, Benny Easter Jr., Summer Creek and Humboldt, Texas on the north edge of Houston. Wide receiver, 6'2", 190, top 250 player for 24/7. He's headed to play for the Red Raiders. Tennessee gets Caden Fife out of Chattooga High School in Somerville, Georgia. Defensive lineman, big boy, 6'4.5", 290 pounds. The Vols invade the Peach State. Baylor keeps Jalen Price from Cedar Hill just outside of Dallas. Defensive lineman, 6'3", 240 at home. He is a player that Baylor probably could really use. Their defense needs some help. Iowa State, Will Slagle, interior offensive lineman, 6'4", 280, committed out of the state of Iowa. Stays home with Iowa State. Is that going to continue now that Iowa State's head coach has changed? That's something to monitor. Amir Brown, one of my favorite running backs in the class of 2027. Great kid. Rollsville, North Carolina, the Greater, if I remember correctly, that's somewhere near, I want to say right there by NC State and Raleigh. He's headed to Nebraska. Huge pickup for the Cornhuskers. Notre Dame, Amari Irvin, his brother plays at Stanford, so they'll be going against each other. Amari's at IMG Academy. Linebacker, 6'2", 220. He's going to play for the Irish. Texas picks up Easton Royal. Huge pickup. This is the fastest player I have literally ever had the opportunity to watch. I timed him doing 4.29 running right at me. 4.29. It was electronic. This kid is incredibly athletic. Brother Martin High School in New Orleans. He's going to Texas. I'm sure Lane Kiffin's going to try to flip him. That's going to be interesting, but that happened just at the end of last month. That's going to be a battle. Omari Sanders, Franklin Road Academy in Nashville, Tennessee. Linebacker, 6'3.5", 210 pounds. Committed to Vanderbilt. It's pretty cool to see Vandy get top-notch guys. He's ranked number 47 nationally by 24/7. Congrats to Vandy, that whole staff, man. They're turning that thing around and putting the pedal to the metal. Chuck Alexander, Withrow High School in Cincinnati. They've had some good basketball players over the years, too. Wide receiver, 6'3", 180. Headed to play at Louisville. Oklahoma, again, this is one of my favorite players in the class of 2027. I think he's a top 10 guy, but 24/7, they've got him in the top 200. Crew Jones at Ridgeline High School in Millville, Utah. He was literally the best pass rusher at the Under Armour Future 50 event. He was the number one guy. He got to go in the finals. Super, super pass rusher. Quick, twitchy, plays 100 mile an hour, has a bevy of moves. This is going to be a guy that fits right in with everything they do at Oklahoma. Really good, man. Really good player. And one of the weirdest commitments also to Oklahoma, wide receiver Trayvon Hall out of Central High School, but listen to the town, Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Going to Oklahoma? That's where the University of Alabama is at. That is so wild, especially for him to commit early. That is buck wild. Trayvon Hall commits to the Oklahoma Sooners. Ricardo Kitchen, one of the best edge defenders in the class of 2027 out of Muskegon High School in Michigan, tradition-rich program, staying home to play for the Wolverines. And again, Oklahoma with another player, Keldred Ben, Montgomery High School, Montgomery, Texas, north edge of Houston, running back, 5'10", 208 pounds. He will be a Sooner. Trey Smith out of Williams Field High School in Gilbert, Arizona. He's going to stay home and play for the Arizona Wildcats. Wide receiver, 6 foot and 185 pounds. We also Arizona State, not to be outdone. Nico Bland out of Orange Lutheran, one of the best programs in the greater Los Angeles area. Wide receiver, 6'1", 85, going to play for the Devils. Vanderbilt picks up Jeremiah Douglas out of Crandall High School in Crandall, Texas. 5'11", 170. He's look at Vanderbilt, even dipping into the Lone Star State. Trevor Jacobs out of Lincoln High School, going to South Alabama. I wonder if this is a kid that's been a little overlooked. Lincoln's a famous program in the state of Florida, especially in North Florida. Interesting that South Alabama got him earlier. Xavier Whittington out of Aberdeen High School in Aberdeen, Maryland. Defensive lineman, 6'5", 300, commits to BC. Good for them. They need a lot of help on defense. Good for them. Trey Wembley out of Daniel High School in Central South Carolina. That's right next to where Clemson's at. Wide receiver, 6 foot 175, commits to stay home and play for the Clemson Tigers. Braylon Warren, Omaha West Side, quarterback, 6'1", 200, commits to Missouri. That one's got to sting a little bit if you're a Nebraska fan. Virginia, DeMarcus Brown, North Cross High School in Roanoke. They've had some guys over the years. Wide receiver, 6'3", 180. Nice to see them get another big-bodied receiver. Georgia dips into the Houston area. This is kind of odd. Aiden Starling, they're getting a wide receiver from the Houston area, Shadow Creek, famous program, 6'175", commits early to UGA. Congrats to them. Colorado gets Dolph McDonald out of Morton High School in Morton, Mississippi, cornerback, 6'1", 150. Oklahoma with yet another guy, and this one's big time, Elijah Harmon. He's one of the best defensive tackles in the 2027 class out of Inglewood. He's got some moves. He's got some athleticism, and he definitely has size. 6'3", 280, 290, depending on where you look. Commits to the Sooners. Caden McCarty, Cy Falls High School, another Houston kid, edge, 6'1", 215, going to play for the Texas A&M Aggies. They keep a kid home. Gavin Stecker out of Bettendorf High School. That's one of the best programs in Iowa. Linebacker, 6'3", 190 pounds, going to play for the Hawks. That is the finalized list there. So 2027, there's been a bunch of kids commit here recently. I don't know why it's happening so early, but I find it really wild. Here's the deal. These teams are getting out ahead, and we're going to see a bunch of junior days in the month of January and early February. The next signing day, there's technically another one, the first Wednesday in February. A lot of those kids will be committed by then, a year early, technically. It's wild. I'm not sure exactly what's spurring this because a lot of coaches are changing where they're going. Like Florida State's running back coach just went to Arkansas. They fired Patrick Surtain. Like every school has somebody coming and going. It's pretty interesting to see these commitments because I think a lot of them will change in the next, 2 to 3 months. Once the coaches change around, there's going to be some decommits and flipping. And then you go through the whole cycle of the visits in April through late June. But that's the recruiting cycle we're in. So really fun to cover it. It's early. Tomorrow, I'll probably focus a little more on portal, some of the guys that have come and gone into the portal already, or at least announced. But just for the record, January 2nd is the official opening day for the transfer portal. Anything before then, it's just an announcement, but they can't even officially get in until January 2nd. It concludes on January 16th to get out of it or to get in. But the other key with that, it's just getting in. When you announce your decision on where you're going, that's way down the line. There is no specific date. So we got a couple other comments here. Mike Witt. Hey, Brian. Rumor has it Wisconsin is sniffing around Minchie, quarterback from Notre Dame. Is he good? I saw Minchie at the 2022 Elite 11 finals. And I remember speaking to somebody there. They said he was the best guy on the board, the chalkboard. And Notre Dame's system is not the easiest to learn. He was really good. He almost beat C.J. Carr out, and Carr's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Wherever Minchie goes, he'll start. I think he has a chance to play in the NFL. Phenomenal athlete. He can do a backflip. I mean, he's the kind of guy that can be a true dual threat. Like, I'll put it to you this way. I'll bet you money that Lane Kiffin at least kicks the tires on that one because he's mobile. He's coached under Denbrock, which is a very good coordinator the last couple of years. He's been around Carr. He's a great kid. Played at a private school in high school. He was highly coveted. That's going to be a guy that wherever he ends, I have no idea where he's going to go. He will start. That's another one to watch out. Vandy or Tennessee, would that be shocking if he went to either one of those? No, but he'll end up at a major program. He's really, really good. What else we got here? Brian, where are you right about? Where is this close to getting him? Oh, Amari Latimer. You're obviously a Wisconsin guy. Look, Wisconsin's NIL is garbage by comparison to most other schools. Now, it's allegedly changing, but you also got to consider they won 4 or 5 games this year. They were bad. Like, he took the money and went to West Virginia. They dumped a bunch of cash. They spent a lot of money. That's part of it, man. I don't know what to tell you. They're not a very good program right now. It is what it is. But at the same time, there's nothing you can do. Until they spend big boy money, it's going to be hard to keep guys like Latimer. And by the way, him going to I'm not a West Virginia fan by any stretch, but I'm curious to see Latimer in West Virginia's scheme. He could put up some monster numbers. That dude is explosive. What we got here? Andre Buggs. Are we going to get a new linebacker coach? I assume you're talking about Florida State. I don't know what's going on with that. Like, I don't know who's coming and going, brother. Florida State, after firing Surtain, I assume you're talking about FSU. You got me, man. Like, Surtain would have been the last guy I would have thought got fired. He got fired. I have no idea what FSU's doing. No clue. They are a weird program. So we'll see. That's just the way I look at it. Last parting shot here. Again, tomorrow we're going to discuss some of the portal guys that have kind of announced. It's a smaller list, but I'm just going to go ahead and say that this is inevitable. Soon as I get off this podcast, there's going to be somebody that Hayes Fawcett or somebody else that's announced, hey, I'm getting in the portal. That's going to be a big name. And that person will be either the lead into the show, the focus of the show, or something. Every day we're going to see new names. It's going to be out of the blue. That's why the portal is so fascinating. That'll be the topic for tomorrow. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the recruiting classes. I might kind of go over some of the classes and how I rank things differently than some other people do. Talk a little bit about the 2026 totality, kind of get into that a little bit. But thank you to everybody that showed up today to talk about Sam Leavitt, everybody understanding that it's about to get real expensive with the quarterbacks and some of the guys that may or may not come back. There's a lot of confusion. We don't know who all's leaving yet. So this is going to be a lot of fun. January 2nd, January 16th is the portal. But between now and then, man, there's going to be a lot of news. One last thing, Mike Witt. I really like Wiggins, the running back from Georgia. Yeah, he's a good player. He's a really good player. Everybody have a good one. We will see you again soon right here on the Portal Podcast.